The art of filmmaking has been round a while, a great many genres and stories and styles. What type is your favourite? I simply must ask. Does it come to you quick, or is it a task? Action perhaps, to get the blood racing, or mystery films, a puzzle worth chasing. Romantic endeavours to tug at your heart, or comedy pictures, you'll laugh till you fart. Or are you like me, where one's true delight is in horror and scares to chill you with fright? It's amazing to find, as we look through the years, all monsters and villains to play on our fears. Puppets and dolls, apparitions and ghouls, inbred hillbillies killing with garden tools. Some aren't great, causing laughter then strife, and some are so good, they stay with you for life. But have you ever thought, of the movies now gone, which horror-themed film was the very first one? I'll tell you it now, there's no need to stall. The cursed old picture, The Demon of Dower Hall. 1895 was when it was made, and fast became something that folks would evade. You've likely not heard of this particular tale, few traces online, and it's just not for sale. I don't have a copy, which I hope you'll forgive, but just to recap, a synopsis I'll give. Old Dower Hall has seen better days, gone are the years and the good cheerful ways. Where once there was life and escape from the cold, a darkness crept in and swiftly took hold. Alone and forgotten, for a lifetime it waited, when others would come, the truly ill-fated. A traveling couple will have to stand tall when they find themselves trapped in the dark cursed hall. They can try to escape, or run, or to hide. Just how will they fare with the demon inside? Not a bad plot, if I do say myself. So why did this movie end up on the shelf? Well, while the film's not the best or the worst, they say that this feature is actually cursed. For behind the scenes was a string of bad luck. Throughout the whole filming, misfortune had struck. Accidents and injuries, breakages on set, missing scenes and dialogue, few quotas being met. People up and quitting who just couldn't take the stress. For all the anguish this had caused, would this film even impress? But many struggled on, for this movie in the making, investors were concerned with how long that it was taking. This added to stress of all within the crew. Their deadline was approaching, there was so much left to do. But they would not be defeated, and each tightened up their belt. The crew then pressed on double time, every duty being dealt. Things were going well, despite a few mishaps, but problems were soon sorted, and their schedule did not lapse. It was the final day of filming, and all was looking bright. They'd finish off this feature, the end was now in sight. But for the actor as the demon, one Peter Guineaworth, as far as most would come to know, it was his last day on Earth. Once all was finished filming, Peter died without a warning. Shock and sadness shook the crew, but there was little time for mourning. Still, this case was very strange. Peter seemed a healthy chap, but he fell dead upon the call of that final camera snap. As tragic as this moment was, that Peter was now gone, and cruel as it may sound as well, the show, it must go on. So the movie was soon finished, and it was then released, with a memorial placed in the film for the recently deceased. The opening night was somber for their colleague that had passed, but seeing his performance did raise their spirits fast. For so many, cast as well, they were seeing this first time, and the overall production was quite simply sublime. It was a horror film indeed, the fear was truly there, Each person in the audience felt every single scare. Of course, this was such an age without dialogue to hear, so a caption with the actors' lines on screen it would appear. The actors were emotive, the music was intense, and the villain of the story hit at every fearful sense. The cold and stoic aura of this ancient evil creature made people close their eyes whenever shown within this feature. The greater depth that Peter showed within his final role did chill and shock the audience and cut deep into each soul. Success was slowly rising as word passed on ear to ear. This film would stand the test of time, or so it did appear. A strong and hopeful star, one solid show after the next, but shortly over time, some things had people vexed. Rumours started stirring that the editing was poor, but these came from new viewers and not those who'd come before. The dialogue erratic, which seemed a little dense, reports of shoddy acting, and the plot not making sense. So many had spent money for a fun and brief reprieve. This was not the masterpiece that they'd been led to believe. Some critics were surprised. The film they'd seen was fine, but with people this unsatisfied, their reputations were on the line. Many did go back to take a second look, and what they saw upon the screen had several feelings shook. Almost every other part of the film was just the same. The only changes that occurred was when the demon was in frame. It started fairly small, the odd change here and there, but it got worse as time went on, as if becoming more aware. He was panicking on screen, not acting like before, while all the other actors, his behaviour, they ignore. They were still in step, in each and every scene, playing out their roles just like they had always been. The dialogue had changed as well. Whenever he would speak, calling out for help or for freedom he did seek. The actor was quite dead, yet now broke from his role. Some said that when he died, the camera caught and trapped his soul. The grapevine was abound with strange rumours and chatter, so the crew behind the film were questioned on the matter. Had they made additions? Was this all part of the show? If they wanted to get scares, just how far would they go? But the crew did all deny any morbid and foul play. They had no idea how the film had got that way. As much as they wanted to pique viewer intrigue, they would not exploit the death of their colleague. No new orders or replacements of this movie were shown. It was as if indeed the film had changed all on its own. Yet the picture still ran, and viewers went to see the ghost within the movie now trying to break free. The fear, it was so real, but they had yet to know that the scariest part of all was this film's final show. With cinemas packed out for another day of screening, more scares and excitement is where that they were leaning. And what they had received was true to the letter. What horror they had wanted could not have been better. The film, it began with a musical score and opening shots, the same as before. But as it went on, there was no one around, and a strange twisting came to the musical sound. No actors appeared, every scene was just bare. The reason for this, they'd soon be aware. Flashes and shots of terrible sights, blood splatters bodies to start up the frights. Grotesque and haunting, the corpses displayed, some turned to totems, all butchered and flayed. This horror continued, all music got worse, as did the sights so grossly perverse. With what they were seeing, the audience freaked. But the worst only came when this dreaded film peaked. All of a sudden, the music did drop. The sick changing pictures then came to a stop. Standing so still, so rigid and tall, still in his costume, but that wasn't all. His face, it had changed, his eyes darkened black. He stared at the viewers, and the viewers stared back. The first sign of movement, his shoulders were heaving, a slow rise and fall from him heavily breathing. A smile did grow, so cruel and obscene, giving way to some words that came up on the screen. A terrible promise that made everyone stall. I will get out, and then kill you all. The film it did glitch, and panic did spark at the demon's cruel face before fading to dark. The poor audience were scared beyond measure and did not hold back to voice their displeasure. Some fainted right there, others ran from the room, tears and anger from fear of their doom. Refunds were demanded, and boycotts took place. Its screenings were empty, there wasn't a trace. Petitions were made to have it removed, and after much pressure, a recall was approved. Cinemas sent back the dark and cursed reel. With this movie shelved, how much better they would feel. And so to this day, each copy they've got is hidden away, but then perhaps not. You see, it is said that not all were pleased to give up this movie, so some copies were seized, taken by fans or some curious few to keep it or sell, make a quick buck or two. Some say there are copies out there in the world where a privileged few see horror unfurled. Perhaps a shady so-and-so can send word along the vine. There may even be some places to get a copy from online. Although, my friend, I warn you, while I'm sure you are quite keen, there are some things within this world that you'll wish you've never seen. So if you have the nerve, the strength, or just the gall, perhaps you might then dare to watch The Demon of Dower Hall. Good day, I'm Jar19 and thank you for listening. So what did you think of The Demon of Dower Hall? Hopefully we'll have more than one of you watching the screen a little more closely next time your favourite film comes on. Who knows, maybe you'll even catch a glimpse of the demon somewhere in the back, watching you as you fixate on the screen. Or not. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then perhaps subscribe, leave a like, and if you're feeling particularly cheeky, maybe even a comment. I do hope that you'll join me again. Stay safe, sleep well, but remember, here we make monsters.